Thank you guys so much for staying with us on our topic of education tonight. Sonia on Facebook wants to know, taxpayers are also making up the difference in paying taxes. This other person comments, does the district have a robust plan that will explain how the education funds are used? I'll let you take that, Katie.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that person's question was about the federal funds, but I'll answer for both the way we have the state funding, and then I'll also answer for the CARES Act or the ESSER funding that is coming because of COVID. The way that the funding formula works, the BEP works, is that it's actually just generates an amount. It doesn't tell districts how to spend those dollars. And so districts have to be in compliance of state law and teacher-student ratios and things like that, but they actually have a lot of flexibility in how they spend those dollars. So again, it just estimates the amount. It generates the amount that it will provide for public education, but it doesn't tell districts how to do that. They create their own strategic plans and can follow through on their own strategies per the needs of the district, which is a strength of the model. In terms of the federal funding, the dollars, the ESSER funds that are coming through right now, those are every district that received funding had to submit a spending plan that laid out exactly how the district would address certain things, including learning loss, technology deficiencies, et cetera, for a district. And our district is no different. So we have a very robust spending plan that includes everything from additional supports for students to get them back on track, to technology, infrastructure changes that are needed to support digital learning going forward, regardless of virtual learning or in-person learning, to the way we get more and better information from our families in terms of how we're meeting the needs of their students. So all of that is included in our spending plan, and it's very detailed, and it's public information as well.
There were also some questions on our Facebook page regarding special needs allocation. So if there's one school that has a larger special needs program, does that perhaps change the funding versus a neighboring school?
Yeah, so the way that the state operates now is that it does adjust the number of teachers in a building, in a school building, if it has a certain percentage of special education students who require significant special education services. So it will give you more teachers. It will generate more positions for more special education students, but that really becomes inadequate. It really is just, frankly, underserving those students because it doesn't account for the additional resources and supports that those students might need to remain fully served and thriving in our schools. And so a better way to address that would be to apply, not just provide an additional teacher or two for a school that has a lot of special education students, but to actually, for every special education student in that school, give that school more money to do a variety of things, provide individual resources for specific students, provide extra support, hire additional teachers if needed. That's the type of flexibility and robust funding formula that we really need.
I know Governor Bill Lee has said that he wants to raise teachers' salaries. Has that gone into effect, and does that come from this same pool in the basic education program?
Yeah, so that has not gone into effect now, but it has passed. And so it has passed legislation, and it does address the basic education program and will increase the minimum salary amount that is in our funding formula. The issue, of course, is that it is still going to be lower than the average teacher salary in metro schools because we live in an area that requires a higher salary to be competitive, and because we have a higher cost of living. We want our teachers to be able to live in Nashville and not have to live in surrounding counties just to make ends meet. And so we pay our teachers a little bit more than the average teacher salary in the state. But that means that when the state increases the teacher salary, it's still below what Nashville pays its teachers. So we still have some work to do, both at the local level and at the state level, to ensure our teachers are getting adequately compensated.
In other states, do teachers have similar salaries? I believe metro schools, the average is around $48,000. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we're about 51,000 now, and so the BEP average is 48,000, and so we pay about $3,500 more per teacher, which ends up being about $21 million more annually for teacher salary than what the state allocates. And so we are a little bit below our kind of peer districts. When you take a look at Charlotte, Mecklenburg, or Austin, Texas, or Indianapolis, DC, Memphis, Atlanta, we are below average teacher salaries. And then we have another issue with our teacher scale, which is that not only do we need to just raise the amount that we put into the scale overall, but we also have a long period of time in the middle of a teacher's career where teachers don't receive an increase in pay, given the way that our structure is operating. And so we've been working with the mayor's office, with Metro Schools, to really think about how we can reconfigure the salary structure. So not only do we put more money into it, but we also make sure that it is addressing the teacher's needs at the individual stage of their career, so that both the starting salary is good, the middle of a teacher's career is at an adequate level, and the end of a teacher's career before he or she or they retire is also an appropriate level. And so that whole scale needs to be reconfigured, and that's something that we're also really helping to push.
So if you were pulling the strings here, what would be the first thing you would do to change how state funding plays a role in education?
So I would really develop a new funding formula. So I would really push the legislature to think about what a new funding formula should include and how it can be more equitable while also meeting the individual needs of students. And so if I had my druthers, if I could do a magic wand, I would create a student-centered funding formula that allocates dollars based on the needs of every individual student in a school district. So that would be the first thing I would do. I certainly would also make sure that we're paying our teachers better than every other Southeastern state. I mean, I would want to pay our teachers at the highest possible levels. I think teaching is the single most difficult job out there, and I think we as a community do not honor and recognize our teachers as much as we should. And so I would immediately put more dollars into how we compensate our teachers. Now, I wouldn't do either one of those things to our caller earlier without ensuring that the district is going to use funding responsibly, transparently, and really meet the needs of the students that have been underserved chronically for generations. And so you would do that through a very open, community-driven conversation around what the community values and needs in public education. So I really want to hear from families. I really want to hear from our stakeholders in Nashville to understand what they are getting or not getting from our public schools, and then build a plan that would meet those needs specifically, not just tell the schools what they need to change, but have the parents and family members actually advocating for those changes themselves. So that would be, if Katie had the magic wand, what I would try to do.
All right, Katie, it looks like that sparked a question. I believe we have, is it Warren? Am I saying that correctly? Warren on line one?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, my question is basically this. It's my understanding that starting teachers make about $43,000 a year. And according to the Nashville Business Journal, for a single person to live comfortably in Nashville, they have to make in excess of $60,000 a year. And so I wonder, if you couldn't bring teachers up to a comfortable living standard before the pandemic, before the tornado, how are they going to do it now? And the other question is paraprofessionals. These are people who are not certified but take care of children with disabilities, from changing diapers to helping them get their medicine and caring for them. They're starting at under $25,000 a year. It's not even close to a living salary. So if they weren't able to do it before, what makes you think they're going to be able to do it now? And I'll take my comment off the line.
Really appreciate that question. So not only do our teachers make, $15,000, $18,000 less than what is needed to live, live adequately in Nashville, like you said, it takes 18 years as a teacher. You have to be teaching in metro schools for 18 years before you get to that $60,000 annual teaching salary. That is just appalling and absolutely has to be remedied. In addition, your comment about the paraprofessionals is so appropriate. Paraprofessionals, like you said, are not certificated teachers, but they provide a service to our students that is unbelievable. And the care and expertise and love that they have for our students is enormous. And again, an area that we are not adequately funding. So your question is exactly right. Like, if we couldn't support increases in teacher pay prior to the pandemic, what would make it so that we could do them post-pandemic? And I think that question is what is on council members and policymakers' minds right now. I do think that some of the fiscal changes that have happened over the last year, including the property tax increase, will allow us to have additional funds to put into some of these areas. But I think your point is well taken. I mean, do we need to consider a different way entirely of how we're funding our social services and schools as part of that? And what is the priority for the community and for the state if we are going to continue down this path and not have enough resources for our kids?
Thank you so much, Katie. We're going to hit a commercial, and we really appreciate Larry and Warren for calling in with your questions.